Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our second special meeting of, today it's August 7th, 2023. And Judy, if you could call the meeting to order, please.
Yes. Hausch.
I'm here.
Stokes.
Here.
McQueen. Here. DeVore Leonard.
Here.
Also present is Public Works Director Johnny Burns, Solicitor Amy Blankenship, and Village Manager Josue Salmeron.
All right, thank you. So actually I have a question. Do we need to have an executive session? So I mean, if anybody thinks we do, we will go into executive session.
I think we do need to probably just spend a little bit of time just to make sure we're all on the same page.
Okay. Then I'll make or call for a motion to move into executive session to consider the appointment of a public official.
Move.
Second.
Okay. Judy?
Hausch.
Yes.
Stokes.
Yes.
DeVore Leonard.
Yes.
McQueen.
Yes.
Okay.
Do
All
you
right,
want- do
Riley,
you-
you're out of here.
Do you want me out?
Yeah, you're out of here. I guess, so I don't know what everybody wants to talk about, so I guess Josue and Johnny stay for now.
Yep.
So, because I guess I don't have anything that I need to talk about, so,
It'll be short.
okay. for a motion to move back into our regular session.
So moved. I second.
Okay. All those in favor
Take it.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Which I don't know if we had to do that, but anyway, okay, so first item on the agenda is to talk about our contract with JNT. And so, Josue, is that you?
Yes, that's me. And
Better
Amy.
pull down your mic.
Oh, sorry. That's me and Amy. As you know, we've been working with the United Fire Group and the firm who's handling the claim. And we've been trying to protect the village's rights as much as possible. So we've been careful going through all these motions with them. And we've reached that point where we need to formally terminate the contract with JNT because that's holding up the claim with the insurance company. And we went back and forth about any potential losses of our legal rights. The legal team with Amy have determined that we're not losing any rights by moving forward with the termination. So this allows us to move the insurance claim forward while also preserving all of our rights to exercise the performance bond.
Is
Just to-
this the first time that we've talked about this in public at council?
No, I have reported it in various manager reports. And I believe we have talked about it, not as an agenda
Okay.
item, but we
I
have.
didn't know if we needed to give background or not.
Oh,
that's
okay.
all.
Right, and I was just going to ask Judy, do we need to just formally read the title of the resolution?
When
'Cause
you
we
get
did.
to it, yes.
We need to, but we didn't really, did we?
Well, you're not.
We haven't introduced the resolution yet, but
Okay.
since there are two resolutions related, I wanted to get the background, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and this will be the first time that council has taken the first time that council's taken any action on these contracts. Because up until now, we've just been communicating with the insurance company separate from the step of terminating the contract. And that's what you're doing today, is the official termination.
But my understanding is the background is, what, they went bankrupt or something?
Yes, they went bankrupt.
Right, and so then they had an obligation to us. The problem for the village is that we contracted for a certain amount. Now that amount is much higher, so we're trying to, figure that piece out. So that's the background, right?
Yeah, that's essentially what it is. We have a performance bond that we're trying to exercise to complete the project. And we have to go through these motions with the insurance company who is paying who's holding the bond and who is responsible for paying for the completion of the project. And we didn't want to lose any rights in that process. And we're dealing with insurance companies. And the way they make money is by not paying out. And we need to be protected, and I want to make sure that we get these projects completed, regardless of what it's going to cost them. We signed a contract for a fixed amount. We expect the project to be delivered with that fixed amount. Any overages of that, above that, is responsibility of the insurance company. We want to hold them both accountable and responsible to that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, good. Any other questions,
So I have
comments?
one. So when we initially signed the contract, did we pay for the bond?
No,
That was
that's,
sort of rolled into the cost of the contract?
the contract is the contractor's responsibility. So most of our contracts, we ask for a performance bond as part of the bidding process. As when that bid is accepted, that bidding bond becomes a performance bond. So we do that for the vast majority of our projects, capital projects.
Okay.
Is that standard practice? I'm glad we do it. But is
Yes.
it- Okay.
For these reasons. So you could have a company that lowballs a bid to get it, and then, the issues happen. In this case, the company and the individual owner are declaring bankruptcy.
Mhm. Right.
Okay. All right, so with that, Judy, if you could read Resolution 2023-56 in by title only?
All right, this is terminating the contract of JNT Excavating LLC for the 2-inch galvanized water main replacements project.
All right, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion, questions? Okay, then Judy, let's go ahead and just call the roll on these, just to.
Sure. McQueen,
Yes.
DeVore Leonard,
Yes.
Stokes.
Yes.
Hausch.
Yes.
Thank
Okay,
you.
next up, Resolution 2023-57, we can also do by title only.
This is terminating a contract of JNT Excavating LLC for the King Street Water Main Extension Project.
All right, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, any further questions, discussion?
Nope, same old, same people, different
Right.
piece of work.
There's two projects, the
Yeah,
King
yeah,
Street
yeah.
extension and the galvanized.
Yep.
Okay, Judy, let's do a roll again.
Yes. DeVore Leonard.
Yes.
Stokes.
Yes.
McQueen.
Yes.
Hausch.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, last agenda item is a Resolution 2023-58. And Judy, we can also do that by title only.
This is approving an appointment for interim village manager.
All right, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Well, I assume the hesitation is that, I continue to every event I go here, that everyone can't believe that Josue is leaving and all the great things that he's done, so thank you. So just to kind of recap, I think everyone knows that council had one executive session where we discussed options around interim and whatnot. Of course, did not deliberate, did not make any decisions. That was an executive session, but we wanted to understand what our options were, and that, I think, was a great discussion. Today, we had a very brief executive session, mostly just to talk about the logistics around the resolution, dates when things would be effective. So I think at this point, I'd love to hear, maybe Kevin, if you want to kick it off, because you and I have been in some of the meetings with Josue and with staff, and maybe you could start, and then we'll kind of discuss
Yep.
how we're going to go.
Okay, great. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, as Brian alluded to, he and I have been in conversations with Josue and his staff, his direct reports, talking about how this transition could work. Certainly, it's been a wonderful 4 years, such that it seems like we've only just begun. It seems like we just went through the effort to bring Josue in. I think it was one of the most successful searches for a position filling that I've been involved with. And again, it just seemed like it was yesterday, but here we are yet again, Josue, and we certainly wish you the best in your endeavors going forward. I suppose your new employer has announced by now, but I won't mention it here because I'm just not sure if they have or not. But from what I understand, you are stepping into an excellent opportunity, and I trust that your future employer will be as blessed as we have been to spend the time that we have with you. So what we have discussed in a couple of different occasions with staff is how we could immediately move forward with the various number of projects that staff is undergoing, and the effort that's been put in place to intentionally hire by Josue to hire a set of direct reports where any number of his direct reports could, at least in the interim, if not in the long term, take over as village manager. So the staff has engaged in the process of identifying all the tasks that are ongoing, naming project leaders, if you will, for each of those tasks, going through that process of identifying, which tasks that can be put on hold for now, which tasks can be elevated, if you will, and who would be responsible for leading various tasks. Having done that, we all are in agreement, I think, with the plan going forward. Staff is still putting together that list of priorities, and we as council will be made privy to that presumably later this week. And it's important that we understand and accept what staff offers in terms of what needs to be done and how we can move forward. Having said that, we did not feel that it was prudent to try to do a national search to do a permanent replacement for Josue's position, because we want to do our very level best to maintain the momentum for all those projects that we have going forward. We all are aware that there will be an election for council in the next couple of months, and I think it's important for the next council to be seated before we make a decision about what our next best steps would be. That is no disrespect to the folks whose seats are open. It just, again, I think it's prudent for the next few years to be owned by the council that will be seated in January of 2024. So therefore, we have decided to do an interim replacement and to identify a staff member, a direct report of Osway's, to fill that position. And I don't want to say the name right now, but I will just allow my colleagues to my right to weigh in and discuss the kind of things that they'd like to see in terms of the process, both near-term and long-term as we move forward.
And I just want to clarify two things. So we have decided not to start the search process right now. Again, because we want to respect that council, we're at least going to have one new council member. So again, we thought it was prudent to wait. I think the other thing is, irregardless, we would need to appoint an interim because as I think many people have observed, typically those searches take around 6 months. And I think the process that we have in place is one that really makes a lot of sense and has led to us, having a village manager for 5 years, which is well above the national average, and then another for 4 years, still well above the national average, and much better than before I was on council. So with that, yeah, Mary Ann?
Yeah, what's the national average?
3 years is how long you keep a manager.
All right,
Yep.
the revolving door.
Uh-huh.
Well,
It's a hard job.
yeah, okay, I'm more interested in just sort of cutting to the chase.
Yep.
I'm going to suggest that we appoint Johnny Burns as our interim village manager. I think that he's, how long? A decade, have you been? He's been with the village a decade. He has been managing basically all the on-the-ground sort of nuts and bolts stuff that is going on in the village. And as Kevin was saying, I think it makes sense. I mean, we have a very strong team. And I'm suggesting that we appoint Johnny Burns as interim village manager, assuming that he is willing to do that, with the understanding that this will most likely happen. He would be in that position most likely, and if and until a search is completed.
Right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You go ahead.
Okay, and as the resolution is read, and just to get the housekeeping out of the way, just the resolution does say that Council President and Manager Samaran, House and Samaran will work together with our solicitor's support, work together, put together the various contracts and terms needed to make this transition happen. I guess it's okay to say that what we're maybe thinking about is at least the interim position would be, on average, minimum 6 months, but then at that point, we would possibly begin a search of some sort. External, internal, national, do it ourselves, hire a consultant, all those options are available. But then that search could probably take upwards of another 6 months. So I imagine that the contract terms would at least be written such that the interim appointment could be for as long as a year. Again, that initial 6 months just to keep the ship afloat, as it were, and then if we do begin, or whatever search process does begin at or near the end of that 6 months, we would probably take another 6 months to complete that search. So I think the interim appointment would end up being about a year. And on that note, with respect to the written resolution, I'd like.
Let's make the amendments after Gavin.
Okay, great. I'm sorry. All right, good. Kevin?
Yeah, no, I just, This would be the first time that I'd be part of a transition for village manager. And so it's been interesting just thinking through what all the different components are. I guess just to throw out like some of the things that have been in consideration. So Kevin just started, just shared some of the timeline perspective, both in terms of the new council, members being chosen in November and then starting in January, having a budget process going on, at the end of the year, just the amount of time that it takes to actually do a search process. I'll say that the search process opens up its own sort of questions and discussion around, who does it and how much does it cost, and then how do we, what are our expectations, in terms of our pay scale, in terms of our benefits, in terms of our alignment, and what we're looking for in a candidate. And it's a big thing to try to figure out. So I think it's going to take a little bit of time to process that and make a decision as a group about how to approach that. So having interim in place, I think makes sense to me. I do want to maintain that I'm looking forward to having that discussion. I think we need to have some more discussion about when do we have that discussion about, is it something that we just immediately say right now that we're not going to do until January? Because of the new council, do you start, some of the conversations before then? So just to say, like, that's, to me, seems like open, items. I don't, Judy, I guess maybe it's like a thing to like flag as like a future agenda item at some point, just to kind of keep on the back burner of like, when do we bring that up? I'll just say, like, from everything I can tell, Josue, you brought, some, just a lot of energy, a lot of skills, a lot of, you brought a lot to the position. So thank you for your service here.
Thank you.
I saw your wife outside of the grocery recently, and I'm sorry to see your family leaving. I know you have long-term ties to the community. I think, I think this is an opportunity. I think changes and shifts are opportunities. That's not a knock. It's just like, I think there's a healthy dynamic to shifts. And so I do think there's a lot of good stuff going on at the village right now, capital V and lowercase. There's a lot of things happening. I think, what I look for in trying to figure out our next steps, I think we've been taking some steps this last several months to improve communication, both internally and externally, to strengthen our relationships, both internally and externally. So I hope that we'll continue on that path collectively, and that this will be an opportunity for us to kind of set some of those bounds. So just to mention that those are some of the dynamics that I'm, paying attention to. And then I'd say I'm supportive of the idea of, Johnny stepping in as interim manager. I echo the sentiments of my colleagues that there are, I think, a lot of very capable people in the sort of senior management and leadership team at the village, which is something that I think you can be proud of, Josue. I think the council should be proud of too. I do obviously think we have some work to do in terms of managing expectations, capacity, responsibilities with, I think the assumption is that Johnny would maintain, sort of primary responsibility for public works related issues. And that's a big full-time job. And then this village management, is its own big full-time job. So again, I think we should continue to have check-ins about that. It's probably like maybe it's monthly at a council meeting. We're actively talking about it, or we're scheduling a management executive session, or we're doing some other kind of checks to make sure that you're not feeling overwhelmed, or that there's not something that's obviously gone missing amongst council members. So anyway, just generally hoping that we can move forward in a good way, and flagging some of the things I think we're, I know and I think we are all trying to be thoughtful about as we move ahead.
All right, thanks, Gavin.
Barry, mind if I just add in?
Yeah.
Gavin raised a good point about doing those check-ins. Josue and Johnny, I would, as you all do this transition, we have been, Josue, we've been asking for more different and detailed types of information in the manager's report. And I think it might be convenient for us to figure out a way, instead of putting on some other reporting structure, to just have a couple of bullet points if it makes sense, in one of the, or both of the monthly manager reports, or at each council meeting. So just something to just acknowledge, all right, this is what it's looking like, or help, you know, whatever Johnny feels like he needs to say to us. I mean, certainly things that become more critical, we can have internal conversations about. But I think, to Gavin's point, we are interested, we're excited, and the public, village residents hopefully are excited, but they want to know.
Right.
Is this working? So I think just maybe if you think of some creative way to do a sort of a check-in, maybe on a monthly basis in one of the reports, in the manager's report.
I would suggest that we revisit the concept of the work sessions. I
Right.
think that's a free-form space to do check-ins, to have discussions about projects.
Okay.
And they're a bit informal, so.
Right.
But, yeah,
That's a good idea, because it does still accomplish the things we talked about in the past.
correct.
Regarding that.
Yeah, and I guess I would add that, you know, beyond the check-ins at council meetings, you know, we had started the process of checking in with Josue
Correct,
monthly.
right.
And we would continue that with our interim monthly. And I still like the idea of different council members being involved, so that they can, you know, have that other kind of interaction. So I just wanted to say a few things, and then we'll move to the nitty-gritty. So, you know, I want to say beyond keeping the ship afloat, what is guiding my decision on this is that we want to continue the great momentum that we have. And one of the things that, you know, has come up, that I think Kevin alluded to, is that we've got a strong team and a great culture, and we don't want to interrupt that. And so that also, I think, is going to inform our thinking moving forward about how we conduct a search and who ultimately gets appointed as a permanent. So some things I just want to reiterate. One is that we are working on identifying those gaps. That's why Kevin and I had, you know, meetings with the team, and all of council is going to be involved in that. Those priorities, which we're, you know, I know a list is being worked on, and we're going to, you know, think more about that. And then the third thing I want to really emphasize is the importance of collaboration. And I think that we want to continue. There's a reason why we have a manager-council form of government, and that's because both sides inform each other to make the best decisions for the community. And then I want to say a few things about Johnny, because I also support his appointment as interim. One, Johnny's got the skills, and I've appreciated, you know, his longevity, and, you know, in fact, I feel like Johnny's not planning to go anywhere. So, you know, so I think that, like, you know, that's a really great thing, you know, that you've got all that perspective, that, you know, I think is important to continue. I also want to highlight that Johnny has been taking courses with the ICMA, the International City County Managers Association, because this is actually a role that Johnny would like to play. And so I assume that he'll also vie for the permanent spot. And so I think that's really important. And then the last thing, what is this? Oh, relationships. So one of the things I hear from pretty much everybody in the community is that they really respect Johnny. He interacts well with our community members, and understands our village values. So those are all the reasons that I think this appointment for interim makes a lot of sense. All right, so council, Kevin.
Just to throw in, I guess just to sort of say to the community, like, if you haven't, just to say it sort of explicitly, this is a moment of change for our community. It's not, I think we're in a good spot. I don't think it's like some people move on. It's okay. You know, it's a healthy transition. And also, like, I'd say this is a great time to give input on what you're interested in. You know, so if you're out, you know, saying what's going on with the village, and you're thinking something could be better or something should really remain, well, talk to us now. So just to say, like, this is a really important and good time to put in input, because we are particularly open to change right now, and I think in a positive way.
Great. So I did actually also want to give, Johnny, do you want to say anything?
I can. I appreciate it. I have,
Sir, you want to identify yourself?
yes, I'm Johnny Burns, the Public Works Director. I come to the village in 2014, January 27th of 2014. It'll be 10 years this coming January. I come as the electric superintendent. In 2017, took interim Public Works Director. May of 2018, Public Works Director. I started courses in January of the ICMA. Brian, I completed the first one 238 days ahead of schedule yesterday. So
Awesome.
now we're going on to the next one. But I am up for the challenge. I love the village. And I love the staff. I love going and talking to the residents. So I don't think it's gonna be a big challenge because I've been here for 10 years and I think I've got a good grasp on what needs to be done and how to keep leading the team in the right direction until the final decision's been made.
All right.
So, but I too, I appreciate Josue coming in. Pandemic would have been rough without Josue and the technology that he knew how to play on the pandemic and the leadership that he showed in that time.
Excellent.
So,
All right, thanks, Johnny. And Josue, you want to say anything?
Yes, it's been an honor to work with all of you, with the team that we have, the team that we've assembled, and the community. I would say more importantly, the community. I've enjoyed having the support that we've had because without the support that I've had, I couldn't be the leader that I was, and I couldn't be the leader that I was without the great team that we have in place. We've accomplished a lot, and we've accomplished it together. And I have a lot of faith that the team will continue all the good things that we've done together. And there'll be new things, and there'll be other things that will change, just because that's the natural course of things. But to touch on Gavin's point, it's a good time for change all around. My departure here is coming at sort of a peak, if you will. It's everything has been working well. We just finished our audit. We've been able to grow our all funds. We've accomplished major capital improvements. We're doing so well. We're doing so well. And I would say that the village's best days are still ahead of us. And I'm confident that Johnny in the interim role is certainly going to continue the work that's going well. And in probably the projects that have stalled, there's a lot of great projects that have stalled. We had, last year we hit 93% renewable energy portfolio. We had a plan to go 100%, and I think Johnny can get it done. I think the team can get it done. And that would be a major accomplishment to get 100% renewable energy, and it's within our reach. And that's just one small project. Johnny's got 79 on his list. I reviewed it this morning. I had 83 on my list. So there are a lot of projects that get done. Some are things that you may not need to be involved in because they're just operational things that we need to do to ensure we're staying up to date with our technology and our platforms. But I'm just proud of the 4 years I've had here. I had great professional and personal growth. I know early when I joined the team, I said publicly that I became a man in this town. And to this day, I still feel this way because I came here when I was 18. My first time in Yellow Springs, I was 18. I came to Antioch College, and there's a lot of things that happened between 18 to 22 when I graduated. So it had an impact on my life, and being able to come back as a family man and as a professional, it's been a great accomplishment in my life. It's been an honor, a privilege to serve.
All right. Thanks, Josue.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay, so I think we have some things that we need to add to this resolution, right?
I do. So I would like to make a motion that we make the following modifications to the resolution as written. In the first whereas, where it currently says September 8th,
It doesn't.
where it's blank,
Yep.
I'd like to insert September 3rd in the first whereas. Then in section 1, the first blank, I'd like to put in the name Johnny Burns. At the end of section 1, where there's a blank for the date, I'd like to make that date August 28th. Section 2, I'd like to insert the name Johnny Burns in that blank. And that is my motion for those modifications to the current resolution.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, oh, Mary Ann?
What is the August 28th? What's that?
That is the effective date of transitioning to Johnny being the village manager.
Oh, okay, that's when he starts.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
And then, tracking back to September 3rd, Josue
Yeah.
will be here for a week
Right.
to help with that
Okay,
transition. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So then next, we'll vote on the resolution. And Judy, let's go ahead and do a roll call on this.
Sure. Stokes?
Yes.
DeVore Leonard?
Yes.
McQueen?
Yes.
Hausch?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, with that, I think our shortest meeting ever. Yeah, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move.
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, thanks, everyone.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Josue. Thanks, Johnny.
Thanks, Ms. Wagner.
Congratulations.